in Ukraine, all the farmers had big shepherds who had tied up by long chains. They were like guard dogs, okay, for the entrance, for people to notify them that somebody is driving in or coming into their farm. And he was usually tied up right in the front of the entrance, and each dog had a big doghouse. A dog and children, it's like, it's like brother, And I became extremely attached to that dog. So were the other kids, but I more so than any of them. And I would play for hours and hours with that dog, petting him, sitting in the doghouse with him. When it rained, I would sit in there for hours. I had nothing about it to do, you understand? And one day, two German SS came by with a car. A routine, they drove by the farm, they stopped. They weren't really not inspecting, they didn't know what they were doing there, really. But they stopped their car and they came down and they go into the gate, and here I am outside playing with that dog. It was a big German shepherd. And the two Germans, and the minute I saw, I became like, not so much frightened as much I stopped. Whatever I did, I stopped. Like I became a pillar. I didn't move. And they came over to me and they start talking German. Now they didn't realize I understood German. I spoke German, but they didn't. And one of the SS tells the other, he says, "Glaubst du ein Jude ist das? Do you think this is a Jew?" He's looking at me, and I'm sitting, and the dog is like sitting next to me because he was trained when he had, otherwise he would attack them because he was trained if nobody would be near him, he would, attack. And he was sitting right next to me, and he looks at me and says, glaube nicht, aber if das möchte sein ein Jude, möchte ich ihn totschießen. If this would be a Jew, I would kill him. And he pulls out the pistol and shoots the dog in the head. And the blood splatters all over me. And I give out a cry like it's like an unnatural cry. And from that day on, I couldn't cry. I stopped crying. I just couldn't cry. In fact, it took 10 years after for me to learn to cry.